Right, we're going to do a bit of a Voge rundown in this video. So I'm going to start with least favourite and I'm going to work my way up to my favourite model in the Voge lineup, and we're going to talk about bikes available in the UK in the year 2024. So my least favourite bike is the Voge 650 DS. I'm just going to get out there, please don't buy this bike. I don't often say that about a motorcycle, but it's just got too many things wrong with it. It's a big full-size adventure bike. It's 230 kilos, very plasticky feeling. Doesn't have an air quality about it, and they've chucked in a really old 652cc single cylindered engine, and it's just vibey, noisy, clattery. And I'm not complaining about the engine because it's the same engine that's in the BSA Gold Star that I actually own, in a retro that you want to feel kind of that very emotive, characterful engine. It works, but it doesn't work in what you want to be a refined experience with an adventure bike. So I would probably say, yeah, just avoid the 650 DS. The 500 series Voge bikes are way better. I know people who've bought the 650 and just got so annoyed with the vibrations, 60 mile an hour plus, that they just had to get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to skip over the 125. I will say briefly about the R125 from Voge that it's under £3,000. If you're going to buy a 125, you're going to be using it for either commuting, learning, perhaps doing food delivery, all weather riding, just as like a hack. If you do buy it, why would you spend £5,000 on the equivalent bike from the Japanese premium manufacturers? Voge is very premium. Like, if you buy that bike, you'll feel proud of it. So just get yourself a 125 from one of the Chinese brands, or second-hand 125, and you spend £3,000, not £5,000, on that bike. I'll talk briefly about the 300 Rally. Now, the Rally is something that's done a great job for Voge because it's really brought that brand into the public eye. It's been in MCM. I mean, MCM actually hate it, but nevertheless, it's a bike that the owners love. It's 3,700 single cylinder, about 30 horsepower. It's a better bike than the equivalent Honda, and it's £2,000 cheaper than the Honda. More powerful, better suspension out of the box, and £2,000 saving. So what's not to like when it comes to the 300 Rally? For me personally, the reason why it's not higher up in the list is because I don't want a 21 inch front wheel. I don't want a bike that's about 900 millimeters tall, and I don't want Tim Sung knobbly rubber when I'm riding on the road. For me, it's just not that, and it's a bit vibey as well. It's a little bit agricultural. It's cheap, and if you want to go on green laning or a little bit off-road, fantastic, but it's not for me. Right, we'll move on now to a couple of bikes that are outgoing. They are the 500 AC and the 500 DSX. I actually owned the 500 DSX. That's an adventure bike, and the AC is kind of a street bike, kind of neo-retro with a single large headlight at the front. Both of those bikes have got KYB suspension front and rear, Nissin brakes, Bosch fuel injection, TFT displays, tyre pressure monitoring. So they've all got nice stuff. The AC's got a 17-inch front wheel. The DSX has got a 19-inch spoked front wheel. So you've got some differences but essentially they're the same power plant, just a different use case. Now, talking of the power plant, you've got 47 horsepower. Very, very useful, smooth, tractable engine with 6 gears. Compare that to the 650, which is only a 5-speed, and it's vibey as hell. You can see why you go for the lower capacity version of those two. The DSX is reliable as the day is long. I had it for 10,000 miles, absolutely loved it. It just didn't let me down. Servicing is easy because the oil filters on the front of the engine. The engine is basically a Honda CB500X motor, but just branded Voge, basically. And both of those bikes are available now for under £4,000, brand new, because they're outgoing models. There will be some downsides, like spare part availability. Getting it serviced with a Voge dealer might be hard based on the dealer network, and it'll also be probably a little bit harder to resell because of the reputation is not there. Compare, like, everybody knows Triumph, everyone knows Kawasaki, but nobody knows Voge quite as much as they do the big established manufacturers. Right, now we'll move on to the replacements for the 500 series, and these are the 525 bikes. So you've got a 525 DSX coming, and that is essentially the same engine but with capacity increased from 471 cc's up to 494 cc's. And by all accounts, it's, well, I've actually ridden it so I can state firsthand, it is more powerful, it feels more powerful, even though the brake horsepower top figure is the same. I think it makes that power lower in the rev range, probably got a little bit more torque than the outgoing models. They've also refined it a little bit, the screen's nicer, the bodywork's been totally redone, the exhaust is new. They've really upped the quality with the 525 DSX. So great job there for Voge. And that bike is 6,200. Again, it's cheaper than the equivalent Honda, but the price differential increases to 2.5 grand or whatever by the time you realise that the Voge has a centre stand. It has crash protection as standard. It will probably include luggage. It's got a nicer TFT. So it's got tyre pressure monitoring via Bluetooth. So it's got these features that you'd have to pay extra for on the Honda. And that's one of the things where you kind of get everything you need on a Voge, whereas other manufacturers, you've got to spec everything out, which adds the price. Okay, so my favourite bike is actually the 525 Scrambler. To give it its full name, it's the AC525X. And essentially this bike is the new engine, 494 cc's, 6-speed, 47 horsepower. It's got 19-inch front wheel. I think it's spoked wheels. It's got almost like a modern take on a Scrambler. It doesn't look retro per se, because it's got the kind of materials like the grey on yellow. It uses really kind of cool different materials, metals, plastics, the fabric for the seat. Everything about the bike just feels really good. It rides great, it's got big wide bars. You've got all the premium components like the Bosch fuel injection, KYB suspension front and rear. You've got Nissin brakes, Metzeler Torrance tyres. That's the one thing I think they should have changed about the Scrambler, is you put some more aggressive rubber on there, it'd be brilliant off-road. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how many people will buy the Scrambler. I do know one guy who actually watches this channel. He bought it and he loves it, and it's a bike I would consider buying, as the 525 Scrambler. Now that list price is 5,799, but you can actually get it, I think, for 4,800. So if you look on Auto Trader and look at Voge, you'll see a 525 Scrambler for 4,800, which is amazing money for what you get on the motorcycle. Now I will give one special mention to the incoming 900DS. So Voge is owned by Chinese automotive giant Lonsin, who make engines for BMW. The F650 engine I think they made back in 2006, and more recently they've made the F900 GS parallel twins. I suspect they've asked BMW for a license to make that engine and include it in their own brand lineup. Now if you were to buy a 900 DS or DSX, whatever it's called, you'll get a BMW power plant in a Voge with all of the equivalent technology and the equivalent spec, but it will be way, way, way cheaper. So that's something to look out for as far as Voge is concerned, but as of now, you couldn't go wrong with a 525 Scrambler. All of the bikes are good in their own way, apart from perhaps the 650 DS, but yeah, there's brilliant bargains to be had. Alright guys, well thanks for that, and I'll catch you in the next one.